I wasn't ready for that.
Okay, guys, we are here for episode 3 of Feral but Sober. Spooked and shocked, but we are here. I have today 2 lovely ladies, Debra Bloomfield and Kortney Whitmore. They are both in the recovery a lot of years in. So we are, I don't know what this is. Okay, I don't know what happened, but did you guys hear that sound? It was like a ringing. It was, I don't know, it must have been on my computer. But okay, anyways, I'm sorry. So Debra, they're both going to tell us their stories. Kortney has a significant amount of time in. So do you guys have a preference? Who wants to go first, or?
Go ahead, Court.
Deb does. Debra.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take Kortney off then, and we'll play Debra's segment starter, and then we'll just go ahead and jump in. I did the wrong thing.
I told you Kortney was first.
Oh, goodness. All right, Debra, so go ahead and start wherever you want, and then we'll all talk about it.
So my name is Debra Bloomfield, and my sobriety date is 5/11/2018. I don't even know really if it's the first time I ever did something live like this, but sharing my story, some faith, hope, and inspiration. You know, like I was a strung out junkie, a home wrecker, a whore. I was a thief. I was a liar. You know, I was all these things. And 5/11/2018, I decided to do something different. You know. My life, I can't even blame it on my childhood because I had a good childhood. You know, I come from a family of 13 kids, and my mom never drank or drugged a day in her life. But when it come to me, I wanted to mask everything that I had been through. It started out fitting in, you know. So, and I did a lot of prison time, and you would think that would have changed me. The state of Kentucky took my kids. But what I had to come to realize in my recovery is that you can't recover being a victim, and the state of Kentucky, they didn't take my kids. They was protecting my kids for me, and that's a hard thing to admit. But at the same time, like my journey, my life, it's all one big cluster until I decided that I was powerless over alcohol and drugs, and that's how I continue to stay sober every single day. Every single day, I wake up and I decide the choices of my life and what I'm going to do for that day. So. When I was sitting in Campbell County Detention Center, I decided that what I wanted to do was help people who are just like me, who don't think that there's a way out, that doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that believes that the only thing they can do is stay in alcohol and drug addiction. But I'm living proof that if you really, really want it, you know, that you can do it. I don't know. I'm currently a peer support specialist at Shawnee Family Mental Health Center. I'm also at the Bachelor's of Social Work program at the University of Kentucky. Every day I get to give back to people who are just like me, who decide that they want to do something different with their lives. I gave up everything for, I measured my happiness in just a few cc's. And so every morning when I wake up, I find the gratitude in not waking up to a steak tray through a beam flap in a prison cell. I wake up finding the gratitude and how to set my day every single day to know that as long as I do the right thing, that the right thing is going to happen. So, I mean, that's just a little bit about my life. I could sit here and tell you guys for hours and hours about all the things out there, but I currently work a program of recovery. You know, like for me, I know that I had to remain completely abstinent because I was the abuser of other things. I was the abuser of MAT. It works for some people, but I know for a fact for me that I can't dummy myself down to believe that I can drink or that I can do MAT, because by the end of the week, I'll have my drug of choice in me, and everything that I've worked so hard for will be right out the window.
Absolutely.
That's just. Go ahead, Leanna.
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing with you.
I was just going to say, every day it's a battle. You know, I'll fight this battle every day for the rest of my life. But as long as I weigh my options out, and try to inspire somebody else, try to help somebody else. As long as I help one person, then it's meant to be. That's my purpose. My purpose is to help somebody. I didn't find it in nursing school. I didn't find it anywhere. I found it on them streets, coming out of them streets, Um, and I want to help people. I want to help people live.
Absolutely. And you have a lot of, 7 years in recovery. And I know, like, we did some time together there, and you just really stayed away from people. I know people thought that, you were snotty and things like that, but it was really because you stayed out of the mess. Like, I could tell when I left. I know I left before you did, but, like, I know that when I left, like, I could tell that you were serious, that it had changed, and I had heard, you had told me stories about your past, but, like, I could tell that that's not the Debra I was talking to at all,
Yeah, I think and I say this a million times, and I continue to say it. Your bottom's when you stop digging. When you've had enough pain, you'll leave it alone. You don't have to dig anymore up. Like, you can let it be. Like, you don't have to go out and make the wrong decision and give yourself any more pain. You don't ever have to miss anything ever again unless you choose to do so. And once you get sober, it becomes that choice. Some people are born without a choice, but once you get sober, you have that choice. It's life or death for me, Leanna, and anybody else listen. Like, there is no in between for me. I'm either in it or I'm not. So it's life or death. I'm either going to live or I'm going to die. And today I choose to live.
Absolutely. And it's just, it's a struggle every day. I know that we were just talking about that a little bit before we logged on to the live. Like, it doesn't change. It doesn't get better. For anything, I've heard people say, addicts are weak-minded, but I'm telling you what, the addicts in recovery that I know are some of the strongest people that I've ever met, because we fight every day just to have the same thing that most people get, naturally. Like, we don't have to, I'm sorry, no, most people don't have to fight to, like, to raise my kids, to be in my kid's life. Like, every single day it's a fight for me to be able to be in my kid's life, because I know I can't use, and I fight that every day. We all do in our own way, and of course, over time it gets easier, yes, blah, 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 but it's always there. It is for me anyways. Like, it's always it's always a fight. Like, we never get to just live our life. Like, it's always in the back of our mind, and we always have to be extra careful. Like, most people, like, oh, come to my party. I know you're at an event right now. Like, and you always have to question, like, is there going to be alcohol there? Are they going to be smoking weed? Whatever people might do. But normal people, it's not a big deal if normal people smoke it, whatever now and then. But as addicts, we have to be super careful what we put ourselves around, and that's, it's like a whole other thing.
Because those people, what they consider normal, what's normal to me may kill somebody else. You know what I mean? So, like,
right.
Everybody's normal is different. Like, I can't say that it's normal and then what's people's normal, So it's everybody's right. On different scales, Like, it's every day. Even walking into a grocery store. I mean, if you're an alcoholic or you struggle with alcohol, like, it's there. I mean, if they sell it, like, you have to make sure that you're strong enough. And if you're not strong enough to see it, don't take yourself back to a place where you're going to fail. Like, right. Don't take yourself out there and set yourself up for those failures. Just don't do that. Reach out. And I think the biggest thing in all of it is being able to have that support group, those people that you can talk to, even like the people that you forget, like, oh my God, I can actually reach out to these people,
yes.
Because we're all battling the same thing. We're all battling ourselves, right? We're all battling these demons, and we're trying to defeat them. And I've said it with my clients up there. I said, I don't want to die famous. I want to die sober. That's all I want. Nothing major. I just want to know that when I leave this world, they can say that it wasn't the drugs that took me out,
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
And, the drugs didn't take me out, and my kids know that I loved them and that I was there for their, present in their life. Like, that's all I want. I want my kids to have something different than what I had. I'm sorry, guys. My kids are sick this week. I usually try to leave, but they have had COVID. But, and, I want them to know different from what I had, and for them to have a chance. I'm trying to break the cycle, because they deserve better, and that's what I want when I'm going. I want for them to know that they were my reason, that they saved me, because if it wasn't for my kids, God, I'm going to get emotional. I hate this. But, if it wasn't for my kids and my husband and my little family that I have now, who knows where I would be, you know, probably not here anymore.
And because we come from people, like, for me, I'll keep it on me. Like, I didn't believe in myself at one point either. I never thought that I would be anybody. I thought that I would be one of the statistics, you know. I thought that I would go out of this world putting the next one in me. And that's just how I woke up. I used to wake up every day and think that there's no way that I'm going to remain sober, because that's all I knew for so long. That's how I fit in. That's how my day was. But then when I started seeing my part in everything and working through the trauma, the things that I had been through, and being willing to do what's being put right in front of me, I was able to find myself and work on myself from internal, because you can scratch the surface, all the surface problems, everything that's going on. But until you get to the root of the problem, and root of the problem is usually self, right?
Yeah.
So when you get down to the root of the problem and you start pointing and you start fixing these things, you're going to recover. And if you want it, you're going to get it. Because believe me, there was a time back in 2018 when they took me into Lewis County Detention Center, and anybody that watches this knows I was a holy terror. You know, like I was horrible. But until I got sober and seen that I wanted something different in life, that I didn't want to continuously be going to jail. When I seen my kids crying when those cops cuffed me and took me to jail on 5/11/2018, I promised them that I would change. I stand firm on that promise. You know what I mean? I want to be somebody different. I may not have ever got to be there fully for my kids, but now my kids, a couple of those have grandkids, and I wasn't a bad mom. I was a sick mom. I was a sick mom who was trying, okay? But now I know that I can be there not only for my grandkids, but for my kids as well. I can't go back and I can't change anything that I've done in my past. All I can do is make for a better right now, because I'm not promised tomorrow. So if I can stay sober and continue to tell myself that I'm staying sober when that 24 hours is too much, and I can say when that's too much, I can take it at 60 minutes at a time. And when
Absolutely.
that 60 minutes is too much, I can take it for that so many seconds at a time. Anything that I have to do in order to not throw away everything that I've worked so hard for, you know, I don't have to go back to them streets. They're waiting. They're waiting.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't have to go back there. And I choose not to. Every single day I wake up, I find the blessing, because if I start my day off with a shit day, it's going to be a shit day. But if I wake up and I continue to stay positive, I'm going to have a good day, because I didn't wake up in a trap house today. I knew what I did last night. You know, I didn't wake up in a cell somewhere. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, if we continue to find the positivity in it, yeah, life's going to show up. Life's going to happen. Things are still going to not always be a piece of cake, right? But I don't have to throw everything away that I already got. It's mine. I want to keep it. And I'm willing to give it to anybody who needs a little direction in their lives. And that's how I keep what I have. I give it away, you know?
Absolutely. And I think that's great advice. Like, we have to just see the positive and make it positive, because it's not always positive. But for us, a bad day could ruin us. So we have to just be like, you know what, this happened, but, you know, we have to. That's a lot of give it to God, too. I struggle with that. I want to know why. Like, everything. You know, I'm spoiled. You know, I'm spoiled. I'm like, I want to know why right now. Like, why is this happening? Tell me now.
Yeah. Leanna, I always say, if we was meant to know why, there wouldn't even be a question. You know?
Right.
So
That's good. That's good. I never heard that.
We would already know. So it's not always how we perceive it to be. But if we set those expectations on things, and then they're not how we intend them to be or how we want them to be, then we're setting ourselves up for some resentment. And resentment's for me, it's the number one offender. It'll take me back quicker than anything once those build up.
Yes. It's, you know, resentment and my emotions are my triggers. Like, I know that a lot of people have physical triggers or visual triggers, or, you know, whatever they may be called. But I have, for me, is my emotions. Like, I could see a syringe or whatever, have it, a line, and it doesn't really affect me much, you know. But my feelings, like, if I get my feelings hurt or sad, like, I know I talked a little bit last week about, I know you were with me too when my dad died, and I really think that I had to be locked up for that, because, you know, because it was a lot, and I may not have made it through that had I been on the streets. So, you know, I think because my emotions are my triggers, like, I would have not been able to feel that, you know, if I hadn't have had to. Like, jail doesn't give you an option.
as alcoholics and addicts, for me, I mean, I ran off my emotions when things didn't go how I wanted them, or when things were how I didn't intend them to be, and then I was quick to use that as an excuse, to go back out to the streets and get more pain. That night that you picked me up, Leanna, you was already out. When they released me from Campbell County, and you come and got me because they just kicked me out of jail,
in the middle of the night, yeah.
Had it not been for people who was willing to help the next recovering alcoholic addict like you didn't have to come and get me. We met in jail. You know what I mean? We met in a hard time in our life, but you come and picked me up and you took me there. That place changed my life. And while I was there, death is a big one for me. I've lost a lot of people in my life, including 3 siblings, But then when I was there in Pikeville, I lost my father while I was there. And so I was like, had I been on the streets, would I have ran off my emotions the same way that I did when my sister got killed? Would I be back in those streets? But I was grateful. I was thankful to be around people who was thriving and was so compassionate and caring, who wanted me to succeed too,
Yes.
And I know that everybody's not always going to want you to succeed. But if I lived to see the world, I wouldn't even be here. Only person that I have to be okay with is me at the end of the day, to make sure that I've did what I'm supposed to do to help the next person. And that's what I have to do. I just strive to be a little better than I was yesterday. I'm not going to be perfect, but I ain't got to put nothing in my body either. And that's how I keep what I have every single day, every day.
Yeah. And my biggest thing that I tell myself, I'm grateful, like my little thing, if I wake up and I'm just in a blood, I have 2 small children, 3 all together. I work night shift. Like a lot of days I wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. But you know what I say? Like, I don't have to do it. Like, I don't have to put anything in my body right now. I don't know the words to say to I don't know you guys understand. Like, I can go take a shower. I can put my baby in my lap and they can touch my face with their sticky hands. And I'm not going to be like, crying. Because, before I would have been sick. And if they touched my face, I would have probably been in tears. Just, I was so icky, like that feeling. And I just, like, that's my little thing, like it's just, and to some, like that's what I said, people that aren't addicts, that don't know, and that think that we're weak-minded, like, that's how simple we have to do it, because it's that easy for us to backslide. Like, you have to find the littlest thing, like, I can do something that everybody should be able to do, good for me. But that's what I have to do to get myself grateful for the day sometimes,
Yeah, and it is. It's just simple. Finding those simple things, just as simple as waking up because somebody didn't today. So it's reminding ourselves that, we was blessed to even wake up today, to be able to think about something to be grateful for, because somebody didn't. Somebody didn't.
Yeah. And probably somebody that I know, somebody close to me, chances are good, maybe not last night, but, it happens so often anymore, like I can't even keep track. I had a good friend come down and see me a couple weeks, maybe a month ago, and we were just talking about all the people that we've lost, and there's people that I didn't even know, because I really try, I try not to keep up with people anymore, and I'm sorry, for the people that I've lost that I didn't know about, but like I said, my emotions are my big one, so I kind of distance myself. But like it's just so sad. Like it happens so much, like all the time we're losing people, and I hate it.
I just lost one, like I won't mention her name, but her school. But one of my high school friends, you know what I mean, saved her in jail. So it's like the streets are winning. The streets are winning, but we don't have to be one of the statistics. We can be something different today. It's just striving to be something different and being there, like, not even necessarily when we're struggling, reach out to people, but even just reaching out and checking on people, because we don't never know. What if they're struggling to pick up that phone? What if they're struggling to ask for help? Like just calling and checking on people and being like, hey, you good? Just calling and checking on people today, because that's what's so important, that structure built around each other.
Absolutely. That's just like earlier I was telling you that I was doing just a test run on my audio and stuff in my podcasting app, and I told you that person logged on, and they logged on and they said to me, I see that you're doing a podcast on recovery. I'm interested in that. And I didn't know their situation. I didn't know this person. So I said, and I was like not really talking. Like it wasn't like I wasn't even talking. I was just on there like messing with stuff on the computer. But I said to them, I took the time and I stopped and I said, I don't know, your situation, but feel free to reach out. Like if if you're reaching out, please don't think I'm ignoring you. Like I'm here, I see you, you're welcome. Like, and then there's somebody that hosts meetings and they were good. They were just interested in like the podcast, but I didn't know their situation, and I wanted them to know that I don't, maybe that was a cry for help. We don't know who, take the time for people and be kind, because that's what it took for me, is for people to show me that they care, like that somebody does care, because I didn't have a great family life, and most of my family was on drugs, and I really didn't have anybody to say, hey, I care about you. I want you to not do drugs, like don't do that. I didn't know until I was, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, that everybody's mom and dad didn't do drugs and get high. And
I think it's important to know that no matter what struggle you're in, like every person who listens to this, even if you struggle with mental health, you struggle with addiction, whatever your drug of choice, whatever your addiction is, like that your story is valid, and anything that you have to say, like could save somebody else's life. Just don't say, oh, well, mine wasn't that bad. To somebody else, it may be bad. So being able to share on it, speak on it, it lessens the power that it has on us. So it's going to help somebody else. We just got to be willing to share that when we're ready.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Right before this show started, I was telling you girls, I was like, still, literally, this is the third time I've done this, and but I've never done a live before. I'm just putting myself out there. I was struggling with my mental health recently. Before, that's why I started the show, because I needed a platform to come on and share. I don't I have moved, and like I said, I disconnected, no contact with a lot of people, and I just, that's really why I did this, and I'm hoping that I help one person, two people, as many as possible. But if I reach one person, I'll take it as a win. Like, one person can relate to me, and one person, like I said, everybody's welcome here. I want, anybody, I don't care if you're still actively using, if you're curious about getting sober, if you've got, 15 years in recovery, great, you're welcome here. Whatever recovery path, I know we talked about MAT and abstinence, and whatever your path may be, like everybody is welcome here. Everybody's experiences are valid. Everybody, should be respected and heard, and we don't all have to agree. I know some people's done things that other people haven't, or whatever. Nobody is any better than anybody here, and I want everybody to feel welcome and be able to share. Like I said, it's so hard for me to put myself out here. I know I'm still yet stuttering and mumbling around, but I think it's important, like it was put on my heart. I talked to my husband about it for months. Like, I feel like I should do this, and finally I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like,
I think that's a common trend, Leanna, because we put ourselves out there, we make ourselves vulnerable. We make ourselves vulnerable for people to judge us, but they can't tell you nothing about you that you don't already know. Like the choices that we've made, the things that we've been through. Like if you want to judge me, that becomes your stuff. You know what I mean? Like I can forgive you. I don't got to pack your stuff around. Like if I'm putting something out here, it's because it's beneficial to me. I'm getting that off my chest. Now, if you pick it up and pack my garbage around, more power to you. But ain't nobody paying the bills in my head, I can't aim to please nobody else. All I'm here to do, if you're here to judge me, then you're probably here for the wrong reasons. We're here to give some faith, hope, and inspiration. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Faith, hope, and inspiration for that next person who don't have no faith, hope, and inspiration in themselves. So, I mean, that's just make ourselves vulnerable. The same way in college, with Leanna, I put myself out there. Like I talk about the biases on the labeling of an addict, an alcoholic, or whatever it is that we are, you know what I mean? Like we say, oh, my name's Debra and I'm in recovery. That recovery alone labels me. That allows me to be vulnerable to anybody's whatever, to pull up anything negative that I've done in my life. That's just how that is. But if they want to judge me, that's them. I don't have to throw myself out of my character, allow somebody else to have control over me. I don't have to do that. And I refuse to bring myself out of my character. I'm going to stand for my morals, my values. I'm going to help the next person. And if that person needs help, they can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. You know what I mean? Please message me, reach out, because I'm here to help somebody.
Absolutely. And, and I hope anybody that comes on my show is willing, but for sure, guys, like Debra's good. Like I said, she got me through some tough times. Like reach out and she is, just for the record, everybody, I am not yet any kind of substance abuse professional. Debra is a certified peer support specialist. So please reach out. She knows her stuff. Like, you know, she knows the stuff to say. She will make you feel better. I promise. She will point you in the right direction if you have a question that she doesn't know. She's not afraid to say she doesn't know. Nobody has all the answers. Like, we'll help you though. I promise. So I want to talk a little bit about, you had told me that you were trying to buy some land, and I think that's super excited. You want to tell about that?
I am. Like, my end game before I leave this world, I will own a treatment facility. I want to build a treatment facility where people can recover even after I'm gone. You know, that can be carried on, because even after I'm gone, I still care. I still want people to live. You know, so I'm in the process. Me and my husband have looked at land, and we have one actually that we've honed down on. You know, we're magnified on this one piece of land, and it's in a place like my hometown, because there is no treatment around here. You know what I mean? And it's bad. It's bad. You know, I've even went as far as I'm going to talk to the jail to see if I can't put a treatment facility in there, because they're not using it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
2 places is always better than one. But yeah, I want to own my own treatment facility where people can recover.
And that's amazing. Like, to take it even one step farther, I've talked, you know, I think on both of my episodes so far about how I think people that are in the field are just like complete bosses, because we've turned the script, or not we yet, but you know, that's my goal as well. But like, just completely turned it around on addiction, because you know, now it is working for us. You know, we're helping people and getting our joy and like, you know, feeling of self-worth, or whatever little feeling of helping and stuff from that, you know, and but I think that is even just more amazing, like, to actually buy a facility. And I have no idea, can't even fathom like what goes into that, but it's just, that's amazing. Like I don't, you know, I would have never even thought of that.
I'm sure it's a whole lot, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm willing to do what I got to do.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to bring Kortney on too, and we'll still talk a little bit, and then we'll let her tell her story. But I just wanted to see if she had anything to add, because I know you guys are pretty close. Hi, Kortney.
Hi.
I am. I strive to be a lot like Kortney. Let me tell you how I met Kortney. So I worked at Recovery Works there in South Shore, and you know, everybody always talked about Kortney, how bubbly she was, how she used to work there, and then one day Kortney just came back. Okay. Kortney came back, and I was like, oh, yeah, we sparky, you know what I mean? Like, we was literally like, we made the best of every single day. We were co-workers. Yeah. We worked the same shift, everything. Like, Kortney's a good person, man. She's a good human. And her husband, her family welcomed my family I've been there for years, you know, like they come to my events, you know, like we show up and we show out for each other. So she's good people.
Yeah, that goes both ways. Because I mean, I got a picture of a little bambino the other day because I'm part of the family. Yeah. And when I first started working there, they told me that Debra was like the lead RA. And in my mind, I picture an older lady named Debra. So when I met her, I was like, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I needed.
Yeah, and she's so bubbly, like, that is great.
Yeah. Even in jail, Kortney, I come in smiling. Sometimes they hated my positivity, but it was okay.
So I said, them girls, they did hate. They hated because they were miserable, and I get, because we've all did our jail cell where we were miserable. I've been there, you know. I was grumpy and probably a bully, a bitch, whatever, you know. But Debra was just so, like, she would just kill them with kindness, and they would get mad, but she didn't care.
Same. And then in treatment, they hated me because I would always be like, good morning, ladies. I'm happy to be alive.
I was the warden, and Kortney was the sergeant or something like that when we worked in treatment.
Hey, we were to the point, and we made them follow the rules, but we had fun while we did it.
Yeah.
And that's how we gain respect from everybody.
Yeah. I think, you know, that just comes to the point where, like, when you know you're done, you know, and then where you get grateful to be alive, you know, because before you're mad because you're in jail and you're not getting high, you know, but when you get to that point when it changes and you get serious, that's when people hate you. That's when, you know, just for anybody who doesn't know, who hasn't made it there in their journey, when the other people are hating on you because you're too positive or too deep in recovery, then let them hate because you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It all starts with changing how we think. You know what I mean? Instead of saying we have to do something, we don't have to do anything but live or die. We
You
get to
get to.
we get to recover. You know, we get to
Yeah.
help people, but we don't have to. We get to.
I heard that for the first time the other day. Somebody said that they had been clean, they had to get clean, and then they relapsed, and then they went to treatment, and then they got to be clean. Like, now I get to be clean. Like, he had changed his perspective in treatment, and I had never heard that before, and that's awesome. Like, because that's really how it is. Like, because I had been clean before I got to be clean as well. I never heard of it said like that or thought like that before, but like, we got clean because we were on probation or tried, we tried, but then when you really work it is when you and that's when you feel happy about it. Like, you're not miserable, like, oh, I can't get high. And then now you're like, I get to feel everything. I get to be happy. I get to experience, like I said, my kids, I get to see my kids and my husband and feel that love and stuff that I was numb to before. Even the pain, even the bad stuff, man, I get to feel it, and that's better than not feeling it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just remember that for me, I'll keep it on me. I'm sure other people can agree too. Like, I had to realize that I can't recover or I can't heal being a victim. I have to find my place in every single situation. Even like I said, when I used to hate social services. You know what I mean? But like, once I realized that if I had not been doing the things that I had doing, they would have never had the chance to get my kids anyways. Like, once I found my part in every situation, and I found out that they wasn't taking my kids from me, they was protecting my kids from me. And like I said, that's a hard one to have to swallow. But at the same time, like, finding my part in it and knowing that I wasn't even safe for me. They had to protect my kids from me too.
Right. And admitting that is big because, like, you always hear that. Like, once your kid, I was talking about that the other day, once your kid gets in the system, you never get it back. That's a lie. If you do what you're supposed to do, you get it. I'm sure there's a shady CPS worker somewhere, along, I'm sure they're in there. But for the most part, man, if you do, my kid was thinking, I had my daughter in prison, guys, and she was in foster care, and I got her back with less than a month after I got out. I mean, like, you just gotta do what you're supposed to do. Just stay clean. Don't be getting high. Don't be feeling drunk. Just you go in there and feel, you're still not safe to your kids. It's okay. It's okay. She's mad. There's just a mom's girl. She's asleep almost already. Poor baby. Sorry, baby. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Do you want, Kortney, are you ready? You want me? Let me play. I made you a little
ready as I'll ever be.
And then we'll tell your story. All right.
Am I on?
You're on.
All right. My name's Kortney. I've been in recovery since March 19th of 2011, and it has been one hell of a roller coaster. And I always say that recovery is like a roller coaster. Just sit in, buckle up, and enjoy the ride, because you never know what's going to happen. But be prepared. I was raised in a normal family. My mom and dad split up when I was a baby. I was raised by my mom. Had daddy issues because he wasn't ever around, and that affected me in my future. But I had a good life. I had a great life, a loving home. I never knew what it was like to not be wanted. But I had this rambunctious blood in me that needed the city life in her. When I was 24, I started using drugs. I went real hard, real fast. I was in treatment by my 30th birthday. During my addiction, I had ended up homeless in a city that I didn't know, doing everything that you could possibly think of to get an extra dollar. There was no shame in my game. When I got clean, I was court ordered to get clean, and along the way something happened, and I realized it was what I wanted, which meant here comes Mrs. Positivity, because son of a gun, I was happy to be alive. I don't know, because it got to where for years, I would just pray for God to take my life. I couldn't keep doing this. It would be a lot easier if my family could just say goodbye one last time instead of saying goodbye every day. And I didn't want to wake up anymore, but I kept waking up, and I would get more mad each time that I would wake up because I didn't want to be here. I was tired of seeing my kids having to go through that because I never not loved my children. I willingly gave my children away to my mother. She took custody over, because I knew what kind of life they were living and what it was going to look like, and I wanted to protect my children. So I went in that day and I signed them over, and it got bad after that. But my mom stepped in. She did what she had to do, even when she didn't have to, which I'm grateful for her. And she's my neighbor now. She just lives like 15 feet next to me. She's my best friend. I love her more than anything. But man, when I first got clean, I lived life all wrong. So I still lived like I was living on the streets, but I was clean. I wasn't picking up. I wasn't going and using. I was just acting out on every character defect that they have on the list because I was still thirsty for attention from whoever, whatever, or however. And around 5 years clean, I got very complacent. I worked a program. I went to meetings. I had a sponsor. I worked with steps. I've worked the steps multiple times, but something happened and I got in contact with my ex, which was in prison at the time. I live in Ohio, from Ohio, and I am an AOD counselor now. And I have been before. I've been a case manager. I've been an RA. I've been in every field or every position there is in the recovery field, except for like CEO, director, or something like that. I don't want that. My passion is to be with the people, my people. So if you pull me away from them, that's not what I want. But I got very complacent, and I got in contact with my ex, and he talked me right on in. This was my abuser too. Like, so we have a past history. We were married. We have a son. I got 3 kids. We had a child together, and I let him get back in my head, and all fault to my own because I made the decision, but I sent Liquid K2 into a state maximum prison, Lucasville prison in Ohio. And 10 months later, I got caught. And 10 months after that, I went to prison. So at 7 years clean, I spent most of my 7 years clean in prison, which was the biggest blessing of my life because God saw something different than what I had seen, and he protected me from that. And I remember every day that when I went to pick up my night meds and I walk home, and it was just like the skies in Marysville are like unreal anyway. It's like they're painted. But I would just look up and say, thank you, God, for another blessed day. Because had those things not happened, I would not be where I'm at today. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm beyond blessed. After prison was rough because I was plastered all over the news site, and I lost a lot of friends that I thought were friends, and they're just acquaintances. I felt all alone, and I ended up seeing this cutie with a booty on Facebook, and I added him, and then went to a meeting, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, he's my next husband. And he is today. He is. He's stuck. But I snagged him right up. I was staying on my mom's couch. I was just fresh out of prison. I got out in February, and we got together in April. When I came home, things were different because I had moved in with my mom along the way because we both went through horrible breakups and lost everything. So let's try this together. And that was a big step for us because we used to always fight all the time. Because I thought I was still mom, and reality was she was still mom. I wasn't mom. I was just like dad coming in on the weekends and being the cool dad, you know what I mean? But that I took that role on seriously. Yes, as a mother, they're still my children, but in the end, I'm the father and my mom's the mother. She was the one that gave them the security and made sure that they had everything they needed, and they got to school and they finished school and they graduated school. And I just came in and loved on them and spoiled them, and as I still do. But I'm blessed. I'm married. I have 5 grandchildren. I have a son that's an addict. And that's hard because I told my mom not too long ago, Mom, if I knew what this felt like when I was going through my madness, I can tell you right now, I would have never used.
Absolutely.
It's a struggle. He's 25. He's been addicted since he was 20. It just changes from drug of choice. So he went from like alcohol, then to meth, and then to the legal route and abusing those meds. And now, I mean, as far as I know, he's currently on the marijuana maintenance program. And those days I prayed for. I
Yeah,
prayed to have
absolutely.
my pothead child back because the hell that I went through and still go through for real. But he lost his dad to an overdose when he came
Oh,
home from prison. He was with him that night actually, so he carries a lot of pain and a lot of guilt. And I probably parent out of guilt for the both of us. And I don't think that ever changed because when you have a child that's an addict, and I can tell you exactly how to take steps forward to protect your loved one, to set boundaries with your loved one, and what to do. But when it comes to my own, it's so hard. It's
yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
Um, but I came to a point too. The reason I went back to work in recovery, because I worked in recovery early on, and I thought I had a passion for it then. And something happened, and I kind of just lost all that. And I didn't need to be there because I didn't have a passion for what I was doing, and that was to help save a life. So I stepped back. I went back into waitressing, and I loved a waitress because I love to take a
Right.
sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that.
What'd you say?
But I said the F word.
Oh, okay. And I think the baby beat you out because I didn't hear you say.
No, I love to mess with people, so I went back to waitressing, and I did that for many years, and I still love it. It's so much fun. Do you bring me flowers?
Huh?
She's got flowers.
Oh.
But here a couple years ago, I started my own t-shirt business, and I wouldn't let anybody run it because I'm a perfectionist. So, but I lost myself doing that. I had a little shop. My daughter got very sick. She has untreatable Crohn's because Crohn's is uncurable. And when she was 19, she ended up having to get a colostomy bag because we almost lost her. And it was tough for a couple years. So I was basically living at Children's Hospital. Last year, she went and got her permanent colostomy bag, and she's doing great. She's an amazing child. I've never heard her complain, not one time. Not one time has she ever. Matter of fact, we had to pull her up off the floor because she was literally dying and never telling anybody, just in her room because she's a gamer. So she was in her room, and we would just check on her, and she would just be laying there gaming. And then it got to the point to where she made it to the floor trying to get out the door, and she went by ambulance up to Children's, which is a couple hours away. But she's my inspiration. She's my hero. She teaches me so much about life and what to not take for granted. And she has no filter either. So she's not going to take any BS from anybody. She's going to let you know exactly how it is. And I love that about her. Love it. She's a good kid, man. She's a good kid. And I got a middle son that's in construction work, and he's in the union and he's killing it. And then I got my oldest son, which is, our relationship has always been crazy because I was an addict and I saw what he was doing, and it started really young with the weed. So I was really hard on him about not smoking weed, and it was bad. Like, and we would like fist fight. I mean, it was awful. We've had a very toxic relationship, but he's my number one. He's my firstborn. He was the one that taught me unconditional love. And I'll forever be grateful for the hell that we went through, because I know on the other end it's going to be a beautiful end story. I just know it is. But he's got two beautiful children. They're amazing. They're my reason. When I was in prison during my recovery, I got called home once a week, every Sunday. And because my mom had $50 to put on the phone when I went to prison, and I needed to make that last for 9 months. So I called once a week. And when I called, my mom handed the phone to my son because she said he needed to tell me something. And he says, "Hi, Grandma." Huh? He said, "Hi, Grandma." And I said, "Boy, you better not be kidding me." And then I lost it. Like this overwhelming emotion of like everything from my past had just rushed into my, I mean, it was just unreal. And I was bawling. I couldn't breathe, hysterical. You don't really cry on prison phones. It's not the cool thing to do.
Right.
So, and I got, other inmates going by going, because I know they always saw me as the positive, bubbly, like making a joke, making somebody laugh, like making their time easier, because making their time easier made my time easier. So, the girls would just walk by being like, "You okay? You okay?" And I'm like, "No." But that day I made a promise to my son, and I said, I will never fail that baby the way I failed you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just about tearing, and I don't cry. Like I get it.
I do.
hate.
I'm a crybaby. I
I
don't ever forget where I was, because the second that I do, and I'm just going to be honest, I say it all the time. Everything that I have doesn't keep me sober all the time. That's not what keeps me from picking up. About 75% of my recovery and getting high again is because I don't ever want to go through withdrawals again. I remember every ounce of what that felt like. I remember my body trembles and the sick and the puking and the shitting and the everything. And there's most days where the only reason that I don't pick up is because I don't want to be sick again. Because there's not just one for me. There's not just one for me, because I like to get high. I love
Yep.
drugs. Love
Yes.
it. There's a passion that will always be there. So drugs don't like me, and everything that comes with the drugs, we don't really get along. It's a very toxic relationship. So that was the one that when I ended it, I said, you got to go. You just pack your bag, get your shit and get out, because I'm done. And I
Yeah.
was done. I knew that day when I got clean. It hit me about 17 days clean when I finally started feeling, because I come off methadone and Xanax. That's my drug of choice. It's methadone and Xanax. So the maintenance part, it didn't work for me either, because I will consume all of it. Like
Yeah.
I'm buying doses, and then along the way when I was homeless, I added nerve pills to my situation because, well, let's face it, if I was the number I was, I didn't have to face everything that I was doing and being.
Right.
Wasn't ever something that my kids would be proud of, that's for sure. But life's good today. I mean, don't get me wrong, this past month has been probably one of the most trying months that I've ever had since getting clean. Like, it's been rough. Uh, it's like sometimes I just wonder when life will stop hitting me in the face, but that's okay, because I was born a warrior, and I know
Right.
that no matter what, I'm going to be okay. Right? I have to be. I have little people that depend on me and that think that I'm just the coolest person on this planet. I mean, I
Yeah.
am, but they think that I'm just everything, man. And I see the way they look at me, and when they hold me, and the way they need me, and when they're hurt, the way they cry, or they don't want to be with anybody else but me. My soul smiles. Even the other person that probably wants them, they're unhappy, but my soul smiles every time they need their nana. I can't
I
help it.
absolutely did. That's what's happening right now, is that my kids are sick and they just don't want no one but mama. And
Uh-huh.
my husband tried to say, we're going to go down there, Mom, Papa's, which they absolutely adore, and they screamed and cried, Mama, Mama. So I said, I'm not going to do that to them. They're sick. We're gonna tough it
Yeah.
out like this, and they got a little wild, but for the most part, they just wanted, and that is my reason. That is what keeps me. That's what's got me about to cry right now. Like, if it wasn't for my 3 kids, I don't know, I'd have it. They are what do it for me. Just
Yeah.
like you said, the way they want, and they stuck to me, like, and that feeling alone that's what keeps me going. Like, just when I get so mad, even like they make me so angry, and then she'll just smile at me or do something cute, some sassy little, and I just, how can you do that? You know what I mean? The middle of the
Yeah.
night, scream and crying, just sleep. I work nights anyways. A lot of times I'll come home at night. She was teasing molars real bad here recently, and I would get like no sleep, and I would be so angry, and then she would just look up at me, smile behind her binky, and like, you know how, okay, it's fine, like we're just not
Just takes it all away.
yeah, like happily, you know, like, oh, you guys are making me
Yeah,
cry.
it's okay. I always thought that I was a good mom because I kept my kids fed and they were bathed, and I always it was about appearance, because if people couldn't see that I was an addict, then they wouldn't come take my kids. And it came to a point to where like I had passed out on the walking out the door. I just fell and passed out and forgot to pick my son up from his baseball practice, and the school superintendent and his wife came to drop him off, and they saw me this way, and my 8-year-old son was making excuses for me, telling them that I'm a diabetic and that I just need my medicine. And he was lying for me at such a young age that it became a normal for him to protect me, and he should never have to protect me. My job is to protect him. And the second that that really hit me was like, damn, I really put a lot of trauma on my two younger ones. Don't really remember me being in active addiction. They just remember being with their mama. And the way that we co-parent these kids today, they're all adults now, you know, they're 20, 23, and 25, but we co-parent so good together because my mom is my best friend. I don't know what one day when I have to say goodbye to her, how hard that's going to be. Because unlike you guys, like I haven't experienced that loss, and that has always been. And I tell my clients all the time because they, you know, they pick up because of grief, and they're like, "Well, how would you do it?" And I'm always honest about my responses. Is I don't know, because my mom's my best friend, and I can't tell you until I'm there. I don't know how I will react until I'm in that situation, but I just hope and pray that I'm strong enough to get through.
Absolutely, you'll make it with support. I mean, it's tough, and I think it's great. I just want to say real quick that like that you're honest with your clients, because a lot of counselors would just be like, "Oh, I would do this or I would do that," and you're right, you don't know, and that's awesome that you say that, because I know that would make me feel a lot more comfortable if I didn't feel like you thought you had all the answers. And
Yeah,
you know, because sometimes not all of them, you know, but I have been to, you know, where they tell you like do this and it's going to work, and even if you know what works for you may not work for somebody else, like you don't know, you know.
exactly. I think the best position for a counselor to do is just be understanding and support, because and give suggestions, but hey, they might not work. You might
Right.
have to skip on to the next suggestion, and a lot of times, just to be honest, when we're done, right? And when clients come in and they're done, you can see that they're ready to do whatever they have to do to survive, and it doesn't matter. But then there's some that just they want you to give them all the answers so they can just throw them out the door and continue to learn and live on their own, because we're all going to learn from our own mistakes. It's not going to be what anybody else tells us. Until we're in that situation doing what we are doing, we'll never know. I wish I could promise you recovery by everything that I tell you to do, but be honest, if you went through and lived life the way I did my first 8 years, half of us would be off this planet by now, you know.
No.
But I didn't have to get high when I went to prison either. That was a cool experience, going to jail sober, 100% sober. Crazy, because
For
when I walked
years.
in there, here comes all my old clients, my old sponsees, you know, all my sober support, like that are in jail, right? And they come and they walk in the door, and they're like, or I walk in and they look at me like, Kortney, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm just human. That's
Yep.
why when I say that, I got one goal in life now. That's it. Because I've set every goal that I possibly could for myself, and I've failed myself, right? I keep failing myself. So I come to a point when I was sitting in prison, and I kept trying to find somebody to save, because that's my nature, is I just save people. And it hit me one day that the only person that I was there for to be saved was myself. So when my perspective of life changed, I set one goal in prison, and that was to be a good human. That's all I want to be. That's all I strive to be, because when I set that goal to be a good human, no matter what I do, I'm going to make good choices. because I want to be good. I'm going to do good things because I want to put good out into the world. And that just comes from that one simple goal to be a good human. And if I die tomorrow, I know I'm going to wherever, wherever we go. Hopefully I'm going to heaven, but I know I'm going as a good person.
Absolutely.
That the people with their Facebook posts are going to say, she was a good person. She really tried. I'm not going to die. I don't want to die. I'll say that again, with the losing my life to addiction. I've come too far and I've fought too hard for that to be my rest in peace status.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to change something. And there's still stuff that I have to change in my life. Like, it's hard. It's hard to change, right? I accept change. I love change around me. Most addicts don't, but I'm all about change. Let's keep changing it, right? But I like my home life, my peace life, because I've spent 14 years creating my own peace and my happiness, and I won't let anything or anyone take that from me. That's something I worked hard for. And there's a lot of times that it gets tested, but I have to remember that I didn't get sober for anybody but myself. I used everybody as my motivation, but the one person that I got clean for was me. Because once I got better, I knew that I was in there. I knew that good was in there. And then I could offer that to somebody else.
So I have a couple questions for you guys, just some recovery stuff, just be positive and encouraging. If you guys could give one piece of advice to anybody who's struggling right now that wants to get clean and not necessarily that they don't know how, but just that they're struggling with the determination or motivation, what one piece of advice would you give? Either one, whoever wants to go first, whoever knows first.
She's muted, so I will go. If you're struggling, please just do it. Stop wasting time, because we don't know if tomorrow is promised, and we have to make that immediate. Pick up that phone and just call, because that's the hardest part of the commitment, is the ones that are struggling and wanting to get clean, but they're scared. They're scared, and mainly and honestly, it's probably they're scared because of the withdrawal, and it is scary, and I understand that. But make the call and let somebody help medically detox you. Find your support, find somebody that's got your back, and just do it. Make the call.
Absolutely.
Be like Nike.
Take the first step, one foot in front of the other, because it's never going to be the right time. It's, you're never going to have it all lined out. Just do it, and it will work out. I know it sounds crazy, but things do work out when you're doing the right thing and you're getting clean and stuff. You do figure it out. If you put in half the energy that you was out there putting into getting your next fix, you'll figure it out, man. You need a ride to probation, figure it out. You found a ride to the dope boy, you'll figure it out. Try, and it will work out.
I think it's important to remember that it's okay not to be okay. You know what I mean? If you're not okay and you really want help, reach out, because sometimes that's the whole step, is saying, hey, I'm not okay. I need some assistance. I need somebody to help me. Because sometimes it's hard for us to believe that, that we can be sober, that we can be abstinent, but regardless of what the world thinks about you, somebody's everything. And just remember that, I always read this that on the dash, the line is up there, because there's a date that you were born and there's a date that you die. But what matters most is the little line that's in between there. How do you spend your dash, because you still have time at this point. You still have this time to rearrange, what do you want them to remember by you? It's not all the negative things, all the things that we've done, your past don't define you. So it's about reaching out, asking for help, and changing what the world's perception of you is now.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's never too late. I know people think they use it as an excuse or a crutch, I'm too old to change. No, guys, it's never too late. I don't care if you think you don't have any, you'll find somebody will be put in your life. Somebody wants you to, I want you to live, I want, whoever you may be, I want everybody to do good and succeed. Just do it. That's great advice. Just take the step. Okay, let me
I
think.
think sometimes it's hard for people who like we'd run into clients all the time and they're like, you don't even know me, and you're like, you're right, but you don't know me either, but I know that your life is valuable. I know that there's somebody that's out there praying for you, somebody wishing you'd be better, somebody that knows that you can do it, just having that little bit of faith in them, and it takes people like us, people in recovery, people pushing these people, having that little bit of faith. Like, don't kick them while they're down. If they're struggling, there's a reason. Try to help them. Don't kick them while they're down, because we're all people. We're trying to help each other to be better. It's not about what they're doing wrong, because if I'm pointing out what Kortney's over here doing wrong, I probably better take a look at myself, because if you got it, you got it.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
They turned my sound off. I'm sorry, but yeah, like I just think that that's why I think everybody's experiences are valid. Like everybody's past different. I know Kortney mentioned earlier, like the marijuana maintenance, like whatever your recovery path is, like everybody's experience is different and tailored to do what works for you. Like if you have to do that, cool. If you can do abstinence, great. If marijuana is all you smoke, I think that's amazing. Like, do what works for you. Everybody is different, and don't judge. If you don't agree with what somebody else does, that's fine. You don't have to, but just encourage them. Still support them. If they're not putting a needle in their arm, or a light bulb or whatever, foil, they have it, then we're doing pretty good, and let's be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Be
Too many
grateful that they're
people are
not there
dying
on
for
the
us to be
street.
so judgmental on Matt. We're losing way too many people. And when I first came into treatment, like they did a 13-day
Okay, Jace,
Suboxone
don't do that,
detox, and that was
baby.
all you could get. And so I was one of those people that was like against Matt, staying on Matt for a long time, until life really kicked me in the ass and said, listen, people showed me that they were able to get better, do better, and be what they're supposed to be while on Matt. So I am the biggest supporter on whatever you got to do to get through it. Like, you have to. If it's going to result in you putting a needle in your arm, then please stay on Matt. But don't abuse it.
Right,
Don't abuse
absolutely,
it.
for sure. Do what you're supposed to do, But I agree. I said that on my last show. Like, if you use it it's cool for somebody's life. But, there's going to be people it, and that's what causes stigma. And I get it, but just do what works for you. That's my takeaway from this.
Absolutely. I think it's always remember that everybody's journey is unique from theirs. Whatever works for somebody else, that's on them. Who am I to say what stepping stones you need to put in your path in order to stay sober? I can tell you what works for me, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. I always said you can pick them up, and if it doesn't work, you put them down. You're going to have a bunch of useless tools. But the most important part is when you learn these tools, when you put these steps in place, make sure you put that initiative to put some action behind them. Be willing to put some work in, because it doesn't come easy. If it comes in magic pill, you'd be able to give everyone, and everybody be sober.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that is all the time I have. Jesus, that they've had enough of me being occupied. But thank you guys both so much. You guys saved me today, and your stories are amazing. Thank you both, and I hope to have you back anytime you want. Anytime something's on your heart that you want to tell, please. And again, for anybody watching, Debra and Kortney both will be more than happy. If anybody's struggling, please reach out to somebody. They will point you in the right direction if they don't know. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Leanna. Thanks, Kortney.
Thanks. Have a good day.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad.
You do really. I love it.